Some people are telling me that rather than drafting a wide receiver in the first or second round this year, the Ravens should try and package together some picks and go after some receivers like Courtland Sutton or maybe T. Higgins. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Ravens Media, bringing Ravens content every single day. If you want to see the daily Ravens content, make sure to subscribe button down below. Hit the notification bell as well if you want to get notified every single time I upload a brand new video. In this video today, I'm going to be talking about the Ravens' options at trading for wide receivers because, it's definitely an option that the Ravens have. Because if you look at the Ravens' wide receivers, I talked about it, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before that, I talked about the receivers and that the Ravens should draft a receiver round 1 or round 2. And some people commented, hey, maybe we shouldn't because we should trade for Courtland Sutton. Or other people commented like, no, we're going to try and trade for T. Higgins and package our round 2 pick or whatever it is. And I'll talk about those two players initially and my thoughts on them and what the trade value would be. But first off, I think we have to recognize that the Ravens do love the draft. The Ravens very rarely will trade away picks for a player during the draft. They've done it the other way, right? They traded away Hollywood Brown recently and got a first-round pick, which obviously then was used on Tyler Linderbaum. But they don't traditionally like to trade a first- or second-round pick. Now, they'll do it in the offseason, but they won't trade a first. Like, the Ravens will trade a fourth-round pick, or they'll trade a fifth-round pick. So, necessarily the value is probably not there for the Ravens, but let's talk about the guys. First off, Courtland Sutton coming out of Denver. Denver traded Jerry Jeudy already this year. Judy's struggled with drops, was not as productive as Broncos fans at least were expecting him to be last year and over the last couple of years, so it felt like, hey, maybe they should move on. They're trying to figure out their quarterback situation. And right now, I don't think it makes sense for Denver even to trade Courtland Sutton because at least if they draft a rookie quarterback, they would have a wide receiver that, has been to the Pro Bowl, can make difficult catches, can make big plays, and you can rely on him consistently. But if they were to trade him, it's been reported they're looking for a day 1 or potentially round 2 draft pick. And for a player of Courtland Sutton's caliber, I don't think that's worth it at all. I think he's an okay player, probably a top 30 wide receiver, but not somebody that I am shelving out a second-round pick for, and certainly not a first-round pick. So I want to put that one off the table. Like, I just don't think trading for Courtland Sutton makes sense unless you're giving up like a fifth for Baltimore, because you're going to have to pay him a lot of money. He already has a big contract, and he's not necessarily lived up to the contract that he was given. Now, looking over at T. Higgins is a more interesting one because T. Higgins is put on the franchise tag. The question is whether or not the Cincinnati Bengals would trade him to the Ravens. And I want to say that they won't. It makes no sense for the Bengals to trade T. Higgins to the Ravens because, one, they want to keep T. Higgins and Jamar Chase together for one more year with Burrow. And two, if they do trade him, why would you trade him to your division rival that the two of you have won the division the last 4 years, right? Like the Bengals won it twice, I believe, and the Ravens won it twice in the last 4 years. So that right there, like, knocks it off the table. So, in my opinion, trading for a wide receiver doesn't make sense for this team. If they were another team, like, yeah, you could trade for T. Higgins, but my worry is, like, even trading for T. Higgins, he's going to want a contract, and are you going to want to pay T. Higgins $20 million a year? Like, I think it makes more sense to try and draft a guy that can be an impact player. Like, if you're going to trade for T. Higgins, right, and trade a second-round pick, why don't you just use your first-round pick on a receiver, right? Draft Keon Coleman, A.D. Mitchell, Xavier Legette, Xavier Worthy. And at least you're paying them for incredibly cheap. And then you could sign, if you want a guy, we don't know 100% if he's going to be good, sign Michael Gallup in the meantime while you wait. And you're going to be paying about $15 million less to those two players than you would be for T. Higgins. And the Ravens are in a situation where they don't pass the ball enough. Like, the Ravens don't pass the ball to a point where they need to be paying a wide receiver in addition to their incredibly high-paid tight end pay a wide receiver. Like, it doesn't make sense for them to pay a receiver. Now, if Zay develops and the Ravens become a more pass-happy team and you want to keep that connection with Lamar, absolutely pay Zay. But that's not even a situation the Ravens are concerned about right now, right? Like, if he's really good and you use that fifth-year option, we got 4 more years of Zay Flowers as our number 1 wide receiver on a rookie contract. Get another guy on a rookie contract. Use that money elsewhere, right? Sign an offensive lineman. Maybe not this year, obviously, because they're gone, but next year in free agency when you have money. You don't want to tie up money in a wide receiver if you're not passing the ball nearly as much as these other teams, right? Like, it makes sense for the Cincinnati Bengals to pay Jamar Chase and pay T. Higgins. Like, that makes sense because they pass the ball a ton and they have Joe Burrow. But for the Ravens, there's a reason we traded Hollywood Brown. And it's because he wasn't happy and we didn't want to pay him all of that money to not have to do it. And so if you're trading for a wide receiver with how the market is right now, the wide receivers you're trading for, you're either giving a big contract to them right away or they're already on a big contract. And that's why a team's trying to trade them away. So, yes, I think, you could trade for a wide receiver. But I don't think it makes sense with the talented wide receiver in this year's draft class and the cap space situation the Ravens have, not just this year, but moving forward. It doesn't make sense schematically and logistically to pay a wide receiver right now. It's better just to get a guy, teach them the system, and if you want to maintain them, right, like let Bateman play, and if Bateman wants to get extended, Bateman's not getting $20 million a year, right? You may pay Bateman $8, $9, $10 million a year to stay if you want to keep him, but that's a lot better than trying to go crazy and pay some of these guys so much money. So I'll say this, I'm against the trading for a wide receiver, but at the same time, if the Ravens make the trade, I won't be upset, but I'll just be a little bit confused as to why they did it because of, again, the draft talent. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for more Daily Ravens content. If you guys are NBA fans, I'm an OKC fan, so let me know how your teams are doing, and I'll see all of you again tomorrow.